Surprised to see me working at a company out of your reach?
I ran into a former classmate who boasted about working at a well-known company around here, and then looked down on me as he said that. To make things worse, his cronies doused me with alcohol. But right after that, 10 black luxury cars pulled up, and the situation changed dramatically. So, which branch do you work for? I asked my classmate with a confident smirk. Yes, this was the start of my counterattack. My name is Ryan Wilson, 30 years old, single. When I was a kid, I was often teased by kids my age for being timid and told, "You're like a girl, it's gross." That made me even more timid, and I couldn't even talk back, which still frustrates me to this day. When I cried out of frustration, my parents told me, "Boys shouldn't cry." My parents were the type who didn't allow to be weak. They expected me to be strong, and by holding back my tears to meet their expectations, I was teased less for being like a girl. One day, I told my tutor Mark, who had been hired by my parents when I was in elementary school, and he praised me.
You're amazing. You've hung in there and changed yourself.
He was often teased for being short by his classmates. However, by learning martial arts, he strengthened both his mind and body, and his strength in his small frame silenced those around him. He showed everyone that even though he was small, he was strong.
The reactions of my classmates were hilarious.
Mark said with a laugh, but I'm sure he struggled a lot with his complexes back then. Overcoming them and turning them into strength was undoubtedly a result of his efforts. I respected Mark and admired him for having a similar background to mine. I noticed that being with Mark made me feel very relaxed. It was as if the tension that had always been in my heart was melting away, and we spent time together like real brothers, like family. Time passed, and I entered middle school. I thought I would start fresh and make new friends at my new school, but everything was unfamiliar, and making friends wasn't easy.
This guy used to cry like a baby, like a girl.
No way.
To make matters worse, Sean, who went to the same elementary school as me, was in the same class and spread stories about my past to our classmates, ruining my middle school debut in no time. Despite being devastated, I ended up with no friends in middle school. In contrast, Sean quickly became the class leader, gathering his friends around him. With his naturally bright personality and confidence, he easily fit in with everyone. But his grades were poor, which seemed to be a complex for him, and on days when he was frustrated, he would take it out on me with sarcastic remarks.
Your grades are probably terrible too. You can't show them to us.
Sean didn't know that I had a supportive tutor. I didn't bother to tell him, so when I said, "My grades are bad too," Sean was simply delighted. Then he spread rumors about my grades to others. I gradually got used to his behavior. Yes, because when I went home, Mark was there, and I could let go of all the negativity. By then, Mark was already a college student. He greeted me every day with a cheerful smile to teach me. Thanks to him, my unpleasant middle school life was alleviated. After finishing middle school, I was able to enter the high school I wanted to go to. I was relieved that Mark would continue to be my tutor. Mark started working as a tutor at a tutoring center while continuing to tutor me.
Thanks to you, I wanted to pursue this path.
When he told me that, I felt a great emotion welling up inside me. He said that teaching me made him realize the joy of teaching others. Indeed, Mark seemed to enjoy teaching me. I always felt that he liked teaching people, and I was sure he would get along well with his future students. I was happy for his new beginning, as if it were my own. Years passed, and under Mark's tutoring, I successfully passed my college entrance exams. I drifted apart from Sean in high school, and over time, I gradually forgot about him. But one day, I was forced to remember Sean. It was when I had graduated from college, joined the company I wanted, and turned 30. A class reunion, ha! In a room at the company, I muttered while holding an invitation. It seems Sean, who was the class leader back then, organized it and gathered the contact information and current addresses of our former classmates to send out the invites. But I never gave Sean my contact info or address, so why did this invitation end up in my hands? It all started when my subordinate, Kevin, noticed a suspicious person following me while I was walking in town. When Kevin confronted the person, he handed over the invitation saying, "Give this to Ryan," and left immediately. If Sean saw me, he could have just called out to me like in middle school, but knowing him, there must be some reason for this sneaky behavior. I was puzzled. I knew it was suspicious, but I thought this might be a good chance to get back at Sean. The moment I thought that, I couldn't help but grin. After all the torment he put me through during our school days, it was time for payback. I'm attending the reunion. Keep this day open.
Understood. I'll reschedule the meeting planned for that day.
Thanks. I had this exchange with Kevin. As the busy days passed, the day of the reunion arrived in no time. On the day of the reunion, I walked to the hotel mentioned in the invitation. It was a luxurious hotel that looked very expensive. However, despite the reunion, there were no signs or people around. Feeling something was off, I walked into the lobby and showed the invitation to the hotel staff to confirm. The staff confirmed the reservation under Sean's name and escorted me to the venue. After guiding me to the front of the venue, the staff left me and returned to the reception. I turned towards the door leading to the venue and reached for the doorknob. And as soon as the door opened, it happened. In the next moment, someone poured some liquid on me from both sides.
Welcome to our reunion. Nice to see you again, Ryan.
A familiar mocking voice echoed in the room. Yes, it was Sean. And there were 3 of his cronies from back then. The liquid seemed to be alcohol, soaking into my suit and filling my nose with its smell. Long time no see, Sean. What's going on here?
What's going on? It's the drink we prepared for you. How is it? Tasty, though it looks like you spilled it all.
As Sean said this, his cronies burst out laughing. Looking around, I noticed that none of the other classmates were there. Isn't this supposed to be a class reunion? Where are the others?
Like I said, it's our reunion. It's just us here. Wake up, man.
Sean laughed along with his cronies. It seemed I had fallen right into their trap. The invitation had said the whole class would attend, but that was a lie.
At the milestone of turning 30, we planned this reunion and remembered you. We thought it'd be more fun if you came. You must have been lonely without any friends, right? Even though it looks like you have a subordinate now.
Sean sneered again, remembering Kevin who had handed over the invitation. Seeing that, Anger boiled up inside me. My fists clenched involuntarily. I could tolerate being mocked, but I couldn't forgive him for mocking my subordinate.
I have subordinates too, but unlike yours, mine are competent. They do their work and more, and I can confidently say I work for a better company than yours. I work for a branch of a well-known company around here.
Sean boasted about his current company with pride. Then, with the same condescending attitude he had in middle school, he said,
Surprised to see me working at a company out of your reach. Anyway, there's a clear difference between you and me. The reunion just started, so let's have some fun. By the way, you're covering the cost.
Sean and his cronies, holding glasses of alcohol, toasted and laughed loudly. They seemed thrilled to have successfully trapped me. I sighed quietly and made a call to someone.
Huh? What's that noise?
After a while, the sound of several car engines came from outside the venue, catching Sean's attention.
It's noisy. Let's go check it out.
Yeah.
You stay here. Don't even think about running away.
Sean ordered me and headed to the hotel's parking lot with his cronies. When they got there, they saw 10 black luxury cars parked. Sean and his cronies were stunned.
Is some big shot or celebrity coming?
Maybe it's a celebrity.
Whatever it is, it's exciting.
They speculated about who might be in the luxury cars, getting all excited. They had forgotten their original intention of checking the noise. While they were preoccupied, a man in a suit emerged from one of the luxury cars.
Wait, isn't that?
Yes, Sean recognized the man in the suit. At that moment, sweat beaded on his forehead. He squinted to make sure, and he was certain he knew the man.
Sean, what's wrong?
One of his cronies tilted his head in confusion, noticing Sean's behaving oddly. But Sean was too shocked to respond immediately. Before he could, the man in the suit approached them.
Are you Sean who sent the invitation to our CO? Where is the CO now? I brought a replacement suit.
The CO. Who are you talking about?
Sean started to respond to the man in the suit, but his words trailed off. He realized there could be only one answer. At that moment, sweat poured from Sean's forehead. The man in front of him, whom he recognized, was the subordinate of the guy they just harassed, and that subordinate calls me the boss. Moreover, he had the courtesy to bring a replacement suit for me. In other words, the former classmate they doused with alcohol is... Thanks, Kevin. I'm right here. Sean's body jolted at the sound of my sudden voice. He had told me to wait in the venue, but I ignored him and followed them. While Sean and his cronies were stunned, Kevin ran over to me.
Sir, I brought your replacement suit.
Thanks. I got pretty soaked, so this helps a lot, I said, laughing as I took the suit from Kevin. Seeing this, Sean and his cronies turned pale. I got drenched by those guys. So, which branch do you work for? Who are the reckless employees who dare to drench the CO of the parent company? I said to Sean with a confident smile. He seemed unable to accept the reality in front of him, and his body started trembling with anger.
You're the CEO? Don't make me laugh. You must have paid a lot to hire these guys for a show, right?
Sean was almost hysterical. I was almost impressed by how much his poor brain had worked to come up with that. While I calmly stared at Sean, Kevin, angry at being called "these guys," seemed ready to step forward. "Hold on. Let me handle this," I said, stopping Kevin. He looked like he had more to say, but quickly regained his composure. Being mindful of that, I continued. "Even if you work for a branch, you should at least know the name of the CEO of the parent company, right?"
Just because you have the same name as the CO doesn't prove anything.
It seemed he knew the name of the CO, but even with what I told him, Sean refused to acknowledge it. I didn't think he was this stubborn. I sighed involuntarily. The only way to prove I was the CEO of the parent company was to give him my business card, but he'd probably tear it up without believing it. "Fine. If you insist, I'll let the president of your branch know about you. If I'm not the CEO, I'll be turned away. But if I am, be prepared for the consequences."
That's just a bluff, right? Fine, I'll take whatever punishment. The fact that you can't do anything to us now proves you're not the CEO. It's exactly what someone with your limited brain would come up with.
Being bold is good. It gives me more reason to crush him.
You should be more concerned about your own position. As I said, you're covering the cost, right? Can you pay after hiring these guys for your little show?
Sean laughed, assuming I couldn't cover it. But it wasn't a problem. "Well, since my subordinates are here, I thought they could join us. Since I'm covering the bill anyway, it's fine if they join us, right? The hotel staff already approved it." I answered with a smile, and Sean looked less pleased. But he was clearly panicking.
Fine. If you're covering the cost, do whatever you want. We're leaving. Okay, let's go.
Sean, like a dog with its tail between its legs, quickly left the scene. His cronies hurried after him. As I sighed at the anticlimactic ending, Kevin and the others, who had been silent until now, crowded around me.
Ryan, was that for real? Can we really enjoy the meal?
I didn't expect they wouldn't invite the rest of our classmates. Thanks for coming today. Enjoy as much as you want. Hearing my words, the subordinates who had come out of the 10 luxury cars cheered. At least, I had successfully driven away Sean and his cronies. After changing into the replacement suit Kevin had brought, I moved into the venue with my subordinates and turned the class reunion into a celebration party.
Hey, do you think it's okay to say all that? What if he really is the CEO?
Meanwhile, as Sean left the hotel parking lot, his cronies, who had followed him, voiced their concerns, making him very irritated.
Do you really think that idiot Ryan is the CEO?
But what if he really is the CEO? What will happen to us? Could we get fired?
At that moment, his cronies turned pale again. They worked in the same branch as Sean, after all.
That's an exaggeration. Anyway, we'll find out when we go to work tomorrow. It's just a bluff, so don't worry.
Sean reassured his cronies, but the next morning,
"Sean, the President George wants to see you."
What?
the department head, looking angry, called Sean as he came to work as usual. With a sinking feeling, Sean headed to the president's office, where an astonishing scene awaited him.
Ryan, what are you doing here?
In the president's office, besides George, were Sean's cronies and me, making Sean's jaw drop. "Thanks for yesterday. Because of you and your cronies, I had a wonderful celebration party with my subordinates." As I spoke with a sarcastic tone, George's stern gaze turned to Sean. Terrified, Sean realized everything and slumped. as he and his cronies received a severe reprimand from the president. Later, after the facts were confirmed, Sean and his cronies admitted to harassing me, their former classmate, in front of the president. Consequently, they were disciplined accordingly.
You will learn your place after being demoted.
Sean and his cronies were sent to different, distant branches. It was also discovered that they had been slacking off, pushing all their work onto their subordinates. Their new bosses were strict respectively, ready to whip them into shape if they slacked off. Hearing that Sean almost gave up and abandoned his job, I couldn't help but mutter to myself. Since he had always pushed his work onto his subordinates, he couldn't handle having to do everything himself. But work is work, and he had to complete it. I hope he eventually learns to face his job earnestly.
Ryan, where are you going now?
I'm going to meet an old friend. Hold down the fort, Kevin. A month later, after working in the morning, I left the office in the afternoon to meet an old friend. Yes, I was about to meet someone who had been very important to me. I had arranged to meet him since he was returning to the US temporarily.
Understood. Safe drive, sir.
Kevin said as he cheerfully saw me off. Meeting such a reliable subordinate and becoming the company president were all thanks to that person. Thanks. I'm off then. I smiled at Kevin and left the office. Eager to meet that person, I hurried to the restaurant where we were supposed to meet. As soon as I entered the restaurant, I saw a familiar figure sitting at a table and rushed over. Mark, it's been a while. How have you been? Yes, the person I was meeting was Mark. When Mark turned around at my voice, his face lit up.
Long time no see, Ryan. How have you been? You've become quite dependable since I last saw you.
Mark, you look even more rugged and tan since you went abroad. I had heard he was in a hot country, and his skin was much tanner compared to when he was a tutor in the US. Mark had gone abroad to teach children who couldn't afford education due to poverty. When he first announced his sudden decision to become a teacher for underprivileged children he met during his travels, I was surprised, but it was so typical of him. It seemed he was having a great time with his students over there.
If it weren't for you, I don't know what I would have aimed for.
I should be saying that. If you hadn't come to tutor me, I wouldn't have become a CEO. Thank you so much for everything back then. Grateful for each other's presence, we spent a wonderful time together that day.